Hey everyone, today I'll show you how to do a front brake pin lubrication on a 2019 Honda Insight. This is about a once per year preventative maintenance you can do for your brakes.
Okay, so now the wheel's off. For the brake pins, they're right behind here, and they just have a basic little hex head here that kind of holds them on. So I'm gonna grab that hex, I'll tell you what size it is, and then we'll take these out, lube them up, and put them back in. And it looks like a 12 millimeter, fits just fine, good and tight. Do not use the wrong sockets. You will strip these and they will make your life hard. Okay, once these are loose, just pull them back out here. Sometimes people will turn their car wheels to have this more exposed. This car has plenty of room up here, so I don't really need to, but it's something. Pull the pad holders out of the way. Just a little minor scooching over easy. Whoopsies. Mine scooch over pretty easy, so nothing crazy there. I could take them all the way off and have my pads here. That's how you would change your brake pads if you were gonna change your brake pads. I'm not, so I want to leave them on so I don't have to mess with that piston that you can see right in there. Okay, so once you pull these off here, these screws hold the brake pads to the rest of the chassis here. You'll see you have a rubber boot and then this little metal piece here that's a holder. Very gently ease that out. I just kind of got my fingernail up under this boot part, and then once you have that done, this should slide right out, and there are the brake pins. It's loosened up here, and that should just slide right out. A little bit of patience goes a long way. You really don't want to hurt these boots. So here's a better look at that. This rubber boot right here, and all I'm doing is get my fingernail under there to get that to come off. Now these ones actually look like they're in pretty good shape. I don't see a lot of scuffing or marring. You can actually see here, let me clean up some of this grease, that there's a pretty good, they're in pretty good shape. But what I'm gonna do is grab a paper towel, wipe this off, and then I'll put some fresh stuff on. This is just an Advanced Auto Parts brake pin lubricant. For those of you who are curious, this just allows your brake pads to slide just a little bit so they're always even across the brake disc, the brake rotor, and that just gets you an even wear on your brake pads. So taking a paper towel, wiping these off. Not a whole lot of rocket science to it. If you want to keep grease off your fingers, you can use some gloves. There's one. Here's the next. Like I said, just paper towel. Some people like to really deep clean these. I wouldn't worry too much about it. And then what I'm doing as well is I'm cleaning off this part of this gasket. Actually seats into the caliper bracket, caliper mount. So I want to clean any schmutz off there. That will help get a better seal and have this brake pin stay cleaner longer. Oh, and before I forget, this pin has a little bulb at the end almost. Feels like a little bushing. That one goes on the bottom. Okay, now that that's done, we're gonna take our brake lubricant and re-grease these pins. Not a whole lot of rocket science to it. I consider it like you're putting just enough on there to cover it. Maybe like you're brushing your teeth at home, about that much, maybe pea size. Take your finger, spread it around, make sure it's good and covered. You can put too much on, you can put too little on. So it's one of those things, it's kind of by eye, but also it's not that huge of a deal. Just make sure it's all covered, make sure it's all slippery and good and greased up, and that one's ready to go. And here's the next one. Same thing, a little bit of grease. Some people like to use gloves on this. This stuff can be hard to scrub out of your fingers, fingernails, all that jazz. Nice pair of surgical gloves. They sell them in big packs at Harbor Freight, are great, a great buy for something like this. And of course I don't have any, so here I am. These fellas in, you can actually see right at the tip of that boot, right at the very end, is a little lip, something you get your finger on. That's got to get tucked in first. You can't just kind of squish these in and they'll slide in. So what I've been doing is I'll take a real little screwdriver just like this, big flat head, and just gently squish that in, very gently. You don't want to tear these. There's one seated, good and flush up against there. That's really how you want that to be. The biggest thing is that can cause premature brake wear is having either these pins aren't lubed or dirt and muck gets in there and will hurt these over time. So now I got those pins back in here. You can see they're a little good and squishy, good and easily moving. And then the important thing is to actually seat these gaskets, these rubber boots, all back in here. They keep out dirt and muck from getting in there over time, you know, especially if you live in like a place where they salt the roads a lot. That can really hurt your brake pins. Bottom one, same thing, good squish. So next thing to do is put this pad holder right back into place and take those screws, these fellas here, put them right back in, and we should be rolling. Going in, sometimes you just got to give it a tap or two to get it lined up. Hand tighten it, and then you'll see it'll actually pull this boot up so that it's good and tight. And we'll come back with the wrench and tighten this off. Both bolts are back in here. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the service manual to tell me what to torque these to, and I don't have a torque wrench, so we're gonna give them a goot and tight. So the back brakes are just a little bit different. They have these solid rubber fellas, and then they've got little caps on the very end. I don't know if you can see that well. But we'll take those off and get these pins out. Here's what those caps look like, by the way. It might be a little tough to see. Nothing special. Well, unfortunately, I don't have the right Allen key for these fellas. So I'll show you what those are. Getting underneath here, and this is underneath on the back side. If that'll focus for me, these are just about a 10 millimeter, it looks like, but unfortunately I don't have the ones that will fit. Sometimes people get these and they're attached to a socket, so you can just use your sockets or your socket wrench. Unfortunately, I do not have these, but looking at my brake pads and how even their wear is, and I don't see any serious warping on the rotor, we're gonna skip these. Well, unfortunately I couldn't show you guys the back brake pins, but I wish you luck in your future projects, and thanks for watching. This was a front brake pin lubrication on a 2019 Honda Insight. Thanks. Bye.